Hey, we are live. What is going on, RevShare Lifestylers? It has been 1 week since we had our last discussion, and my, oh my, oh my, am I fired up today. It has been an amazing week, an amazing month, an amazing just day to
To
Whoa,
live.
hang on, I'm getting some feedback here. I'm going to have to pause this. There we go. Okay, cool. It has been an amazing day to just be alive. It is like 113 degrees here in Las Vegas. It has been just cooking me, alive. Anytime that I step outside, I can hear my skin just start to sizzle. I have incredibly white skin. If I just get near any heat, it just turns red like immediately. Um, but I'm still having fun and excited to be here tonight. Over the last month, I'm sure that many have taken notice that a lot of my marketing has been kind of intermittent, just here and there. I've been doing just I've been taking time to reflect on who I am, reflect on my businesses, reflect on my marriage and life, and just fulfillment in general. And that's what we're talking about tonight is the art of fulfillment. Fulfillment is not this thing where we're all entitled to have. It's not this thing where we're all just born to be given happiness. As much as everyone deserves happiness, it is still something that you do have to go out and get for yourself. It's not something that you'll find. It's not something that you'll just wake up one day and have. It is a true art form, and that's what we're going to be discussing today. Every single person down here has their own experiences in generating fulfillment for themselves, and I'd like to share a few of mine. But I also want to introduce the panel. It's been a week since we talked, and a lot's changed. A lot has happened. Julian, how you been this last week, brother? Where you been?
I've been great, man. Just working some things in the background. Very similar to last week. It kind of, I know we did a few things last week that kind of made some change in that type of thing. So I'm just working some things. As you know, I'm doing some coaching in the background as well. Just kind of rounding everything around, so to speak, so that I go into the next second half of the year, business-wise, I'm kind of focused and kind of know exactly what direction I want to go. So I've been in the background, just kind of working some things. So you really haven't seen me doing much posting on social media as I know I should be, but I'm still working some things in the background before you can start seeing those things coming out on the front end of everything. So just been on the background, it's really working at the end of the day. What about you guys?
Twee, what you been up to this last week? I know that I know what you've been up to, but nobody else does.
Yeah, so this last week, a lot's changed. Our son is done with second grade, and so that's pretty big. And we're getting ready for our travels. As you know, Joel mentioned we're traveling around the world for a year, and we just celebrated our 9-year anniversary this last weekend. So
Congrats.
9 years together and 10 years knowing each other, but yeah, 9 years married, so really excited about that.
Absolutely, and all goes right back to what we're talking about tonight. Saron, it's been a while since me and you talked. Normally we're talking all the time, but I know this whole week you've been going through some stuff and changing and just I don't want to speak for you, but what you been up to this last week?
Well, so those of you, I mean, you guys that are watching this webinar and that show up here each week and stuff like that, you know that guys, when you get to a certain level, you're doing a lot of consulting work, and there's typically a lot of working with clients and things like that are higher paying clients. So I had a recent offer that came across my desk that was a huge, massive opportunity, and really was not expecting it at all. And ended up having to take some time to do some soul searching and figure out, is this something I'm going to do? And I ended up, short story, opting out of it because it just, part of what we're going to talk about tonight, this art of fulfillment, and it just goes back to, knowing who you are and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'll talk maybe more about that, when we tie it into tonight's topic. But I've been good, guys. I've been tapping into some brand new, never before for me, industries that I've never touched, real estate being one of them. and not investing myself, but writing copy for a guy in real estate. So that has been wild. So a lot of research, a lot of learning about a brand new industry, and selling to that industry and building sales machines for that industry. So it's been a wild week.
Interesting, man. Well, variety is definitely variety is actually one of the keys to fulfillment. There's typically 5 keys of fulfillment that I like to look at from a different perspective and ask myself about each of these things. But when I over this last month or so that I've really taken a lot of time to reflect on my own fulfillment, because I've been making 6 figures for a long time, and there's been plenty of instances in those businesses that I've been so ridiculously unhappy. A lot of people know my first story, my first 6 figures. I ended up in the hospital on life support, a bunch of that type of stuff. Definitely not a fulfilling way to live, and it wasn't just that. I went into another business that I went in 100% with the goal to just focus on my fulfillment. That was my second business, and I was completely unfulfilled yet again, and wasn't understanding why. My second business took a long time to gain momentum. When it finally did gain momentum, I was again. Unhappy, and dealing with a lot of the same issues that I dealt with in my first business, and it goes right back to that whole thing. Wherever you go, there you are. So it's never the offer. It's not the offer that doesn't convert. That's a bunch of horse shit that some marketer made up to sell you traffic. It's not that. It's not the offer that doesn't convert. A lot of times it has to do with you. It has to do with what you do in the offer. Now, that's not to say that there aren't some duds out there. There's plenty of duds, but most of the time it has to do with the marketer himself or herself, and where they're at mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. And when I was coming off my second business, I was very, very broken emotionally, very worn out, stressed out, strapped financially. And I had plenty going on with the business, but was really unfulfilled. People still contact me years. This is like 4 or 5 years ago. People still contact me for that business. They're still like, "Hey, are you still doing that thing?" And I'm like, "No, I want nothing to do with that." No, they still contact me about it. That's how much momentum we were gaining in the marketplace, and people still remember it for us. But what I learned from that was that I was approaching 100% that business. I approached it 100% from an emotional perspective, because my first business I approached it 100% logically, and was not communicating both the logic and the emotion together, so that I could live from the inside out, as opposed to just living straight, reacting in my business like I did in my second business, or in my first business where I try to control every aspect of things. So there was in the first business I had a lot of certainty, which is one of those keys to fulfillment, but I didn't have a lot of variety, and I didn't build anything to fill me up. And in my second business, I had a lot of uncertainty, a lot of variety, but I had very little certainty. I had very little clarity, a vision of where I was going and how I was going to profit, or any of those types of things. It was really this big enlightening experience that when I came off of that second business, I asked myself, and this was actually where I ended up going into internet marketing, I started asking myself, what do I really truly want? And I've been asking that question now for 3 solid years. And every year I get a little bit closer. Every few months I get a little bit closer, and it also changes as I grow. And I expect that's probably the same for everybody on this panel. It likely is not going to be the same thing in 5 years as it is today. Because we do change. We have to change. If we're not growing and changing, we're dying. We're not adapting. We're not becoming new people. And so, I kind of want to shift gears a little bit. I don't want to, hog the mic tonight. So I want to hear some other people's experiences of what they've gone through that has led them to a more fulfilling place, and just some of the keys that they've learned. And I'll make sure that I share some of those other 5 key elements as we go through tonight's webinar. Julian, I want to ask you a little bit about some of the stuff that, and Jerry also is asking about a few updates inside of RSL, so I just want to bring that stuff up real quick. Yes, WWS will have all of the trainings that are associated with it, and the videos will be updated to accommodate that new offer, as well as a few other trainings that are in there that I feel are pertinent to working with WWS. And being able to go out and get other traffic and drive traffic back into that system. So I just want to make sure that you guys understand that's where this is going. It's much more simple, much more clear. It's a much better way of designing RevShare Lifestyle. So I'm really looking forward to that and looking forward to those changes. I know you guys will too, because it all just leads to more clarity. And the clearest marketer is the marketer who wins. Julian, I know that you've been through quite a few businesses over the last few years and just throughout your life. What were some of the hardest times, not necessarily financially or anything like that, but more emotionally, more spiritually, some of the things that you've dealt with in terms of fulfillment? Because I know that we all go through it as entrepreneurs. And what were some of the lessons that maybe you picked out of some of those individual businesses?
Yeah, just balance for me. And it's funny because you mentioned earlier the analytical side and emotional side. Balance has been something, it's been something hard for me to kind of attain. And that's actually part of why I even became vegan. That's the whole spiritual thing why I actually got into that. So that's how that ties in. But it's just finding that balance between the businesses, why you're doing it for the money and all those different reasons, and tie everything else in as far as everything to do with your life. Because I feel sometimes when you work so much and you focus so much on different things you got to do with your business, sometimes you can because I could be a workaholic, your personal life and other things around your personal life could actually be affected by that. So for me, just a lot of different balancing and learning how to balance everything, where everything kind of comes full circle. There's some harmony there, so to speak, between personal life and what I'm working on in my business. And the more I'm able to do that, to create that balance, the better things are the more things actually work synergistically, full circle as far as my personal life and my business life as well. And the more I do that, the easier everything becomes. The more everything is more harmonious, I guess is the best word to use in that. And part of that was, again, changing my diets, and that's helped me change because I've been a stubborn person in how I do a lot of things through my life, and just changing that up and going away, especially just going back to the becoming a vegan, it's actually really helped me kind of make those adjustments a lot more easy, a lot more fluidly, and a lot more synergistically as I'm actually balancing and everything else. And again, it's one of those things that you always continuously work with in your life. There'll be times where sometimes you may work a little bit too much, and you gotta kind of catch yourself like, oh, you know what, I need to balance myself out a little bit with some other things as well. And it's that little, again, it's really almost like a seesaw. It's always up and down depending on what you're working on, what you're focusing on. But again, the more I maintain a balance, and again, from a diet perspective to how I deal with personal relationships, the more everything else just works synergistically in my life. So the more balance for me, the better everything works out.
That's interesting that you mentioned that seesaw effect and recognizing when you're working too much. That was a huge breakthrough for me when I began to notice that. And I know Twee and me fought over this one. That's why I recognize it so much, because Twee and me would fight over this one because there were on both fronts. Okay, so when I was trying to quit being a workaholic, we were fighting, and also when I was a workaholic, we were fighting. So I'd become this workaholic person, and Twee would get in my shit and be like, "Yo, you need to take care of yourself. You need to take care of yourself. Stop doing this. You need to take care of yourself." Then, I began to learn. I'm not the densest crayon, but sometimes I am. Um, but then I began to learn. I started to recognize when I was overworking myself, and I'd stop myself before it happened, and okay, I need to take some time, I need to relax a little bit, I need to chill,
Yep.
and then Twee's getting up in my shit like, hey, this needs to get done, hey, this needs to get done, and this needs to get done, and it took a while for me to actually communicate that no, what we need to do is what we need here is balance. So we need we need time working, and we also need time chilling. And there's that whole thing where it's like hashtag no chill and freaking I'm so I'm not the trendiest person in the world, but it's like this whole no chill attitude, constant hustle, all that stuff that just kills you. And even there are very few people I've ever met in my life that truly live for it, even if they say that they do. And I personally am, I'm a person that I don't live for the hustle. I live for what the hustle can afford me, and I live for the moments where the hustle doesn't feel like hustle. It feels like you're alive. It feels like this passion, and I live for those moments. And I also live for those moments where I don't have to be that, and I don't have to feel that way. So I live for those two extremes in my life, and I've always been an extreme person on any side of the spectrum. So I love that analogy of the seesaw.
Yeah, because not to cut you off, Joe, because I've had that extreme side to me as well. That's something my girlfriend used to tell me. Whatever I get involved with, it's just so extreme. And again, part of that was learning how to balance those things off, and that kind of eases everything out a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely. Twee, when I was going through those both sides of the spectrums and all those different things, and you were seeing the both the effects that it had on my health when I was that extreme workaholic type person, and when I became that ridiculously lazy person that needed like all of this time to chill in order to get back on my hustle. I mean, what were some of the things that you were dealing with, and you yourself as a person? I remember very clearly that you were like, all right, fuck this. I'm going to become my own self. I'm going to stand up for who I am, and I'm going to break away, and I'm going to go do my own thing because I can't, because Joel, you're over here, you're just stuck in chill mode, or Joel, you're over here, you're just stuck in work mode. When you sort of had that realization that you need to be your own person and you need to be, kind of break away and go after your own fulfillment, what did that do for you?
It changed a lot. So, as many of you know, Joel and I have been together for a very long time, and what that does at times is you become reliant on your partner, and you become reliant on them to give you motivation, or some days make you happy, or whatever that happens to be or looks like. But at times you do tend to lean on your partner a little too much, and you do have to break away and do your own thing, especially if your partner is not in sync with you. Because if you can get into your own energy field and your own sync, then you can just start creating for yourself. And oftentimes what that does is brings your partner on that journey with you, because they don't want to feel left out and they want to be a part of it with you. So if anyone's on this panel or watching this replay and you're not getting support from your partner, the best thing you can do is just to go and hit it as hard as you can. That's what I did with the gym as a recent example. So I started doing Insanity at home, and then I got a membership, started going to the gym, and got a personal trainer, started training 2 hours a day. But by doing that, it brought Joel out with me, because I was leaving every day for 2 hours. So he's like, hey, I want to be with you. I want to be a part of your life. And then they start participating as well. So that's a way you can get support, but also to get into your own power so that you can empower yourself and not be so reliant on your partner. So that was really important, and a big lesson that I took away from that. And there's also a second lesson, which I like to call the hustle to chill ratio. So there's
Yes.
a ratio you need to work out, because if you chill too long, your business is going to suffer and you're going to come back and be like, oh, there's no more money. And if you hustle too hard, then you're going to get burnt out, and then you're going to have that result as well, where you just need to chill out and there's no two ways about it, and you don't want to talk to anyone or see anyone, and that's not good for your business either. So you have to keep that hustle to chill ratio in balance. So I love that example Julian gave to you, because I think it's just an easy way to visualize that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So there's another part, another key element too that that a lot of marketers really miss in creating conversions. This is a big one, and it not only creates conversions, but it really contributes significantly to your overall fulfillment. And it's what it really comes down to is contribution. Contribution a lot of times is not about going. It's not necessarily about going and volunteering to clean up a highway or volunteering to serve soup in the kitchen or something like that. Contribution can be anything. It's really anything that provides value, and it doesn't have to be sold. And I honestly think, and one of the reasons why we do these webinars every Wednesday, we don't charge for these. We do these for free. We do them for free for a reason, because it's contribution. Because we actually care about your guys' success. We care about being able to express these ideas out into the world, and creating that contribution for free. Every time that we do these webinars, we have people contact us, send us PMs, and they ask questions about their life, their business, and we help them. Most of the time for free. Obviously, Twee and I do coaching for people, but 99% of the time it's just a free conversation to help somebody, get to whatever breakthrough they need to get through to move on. And what you'll find is you're building up this goodwill, and it should never be about that. It's never been about that for me, but when you're building up this contribution, this goodwill, and giving back, you'll find that you get a deeper sense of self. You get a deeper sense of understanding of what it means to be human, and what it means to care, truly love your fellow man, and to be there for a lot more than just a dollar sign. It's not just about a transaction. It's about true generosity. That true generosity, give and receive. That's how it begins to manifest in your life. Sarah, and I know you as a person are one of the biggest contributors that I've ever seen. Every time that you go work with any of your clients, or just be around as a friend or anything like that, that is one key element that I've always seen in your personality. And what is it about that part of your personality? What drives you to contribute so much value whenever you talk to people? Because it's always authentic, and it's always real.
My answer is going to shock you.
Go for it.
It's completely and totally selfish.
Okay. All right.
The more this is why this is so cool. What I find is the more that I give, the more I receive.
Yeah.
The more that I give to people, the more insight I'm given. The more understanding I gain. And it's like when we have these webinars and we talk about these ideas, everyone on this panel, everybody that shows up here on a consistent basis, we're all very similar kinds of people. We all are learning, we're growing, we're practicing and implementing and discovering new things, right?
Yeah.
So we're taking in all of this information, but the problem is if you don't have an outlet, if you don't let it go, then it just kind of sits there and it bubbles over and you get overwhelmed, and it just is the flow stops. You can't have a lake where it doesn't have an inlet and an outlet, right? Mm-hmm. So contribution for me, I'm constantly studying and receiving so much that I have to give it out. And a lot of times I do it on a one-on-one basis with people that I meet, and that's just my my passion. I love working with people like that. It doesn't feel like work to me. You know, when I'm talking to people, it doesn't feel like work. When I'm training somebody or teaching somebody something or sharing something with them, having a conversation, it doesn't feel like work, even if it's revolving around my career. I would say one other thing too is that, you know, on this topic of fulfillment, we all have these things that are going to be different drivers for us. And one of the things that I've discovered about myself personally is that I am very, very fulfilled when I am doing things in front of people. So I don't care if it's for free or what. It's an outlet for me to give, and I get energized. Like, to be honest, guys, I was dead tired before this webinar. I've been writing since 9 o'clock a.m., just grinding on writing lead magnets and sales letters and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I got on this webinar and I feel charged within a matter of, 10, 20 minutes.
Yeah. Well, something too that you mentioned where you like doing it, you like getting in front of people, and that sort of creates a level of significance. Yep. It lets you know that you're doing something that matters, and it lets you know that you're doing something that's truly helping somebody. Writing lead magnets and sales letters and running traffic campaigns and all the technical shit that we deal with, like 90% of the work in internet marketing is just a bunch of tech crap, and you can't
get away from it all the time. I mean, it's part of the business. Unfortunately, it is part of it, and it is an outlet to give, but but it's not the most fulfilling stuff in the world.
It's not, because a lot of times you're asking yourself, okay, I've been on this sales funnel for the last 13 hours. I've been writing 5 sales pages and 10 emails for the last week. It's just constant writing, and one of the things that, like, that's why getting on these webinars, why it charges you up, why getting in front of people, especially live people, it creates a significance that is unmatched, and that is actually one of the 5 keys of fulfillments that we were talking about. And actually, I may expand it to 6, because balance was not included in that, but balance is definitely one of the keys to fulfillment. Yeah. So it's not something that should ever be overlooked, because it's fucking huge. And if I'm a little bit more loose with my swearing tonight, it's because I've been reflecting on myself for the last month, and I like to swear from time to time, because it adds the passion that I'm truly feeling. It's authentic. This is how I would act in real life if you met me, and that's who I want to be when I come to these webinars. So that significance portion that you brought up, though, that's huge. That was exactly one of the points that we wanted to cover, and I think it's dope that you brought it up. And that, it also brings up another thing, Sarah. If you're open to it, I'd love for you to share a little bit more about that story that you mentioned at the beginning, because I think it's really powerful, and it, when you told it to me right before this webinar, I mean, the only word that came to mind was respect, and I'd really love it if you were open to sharing some of that.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So
now that I pretty much just put you on the spot for it.
It's almost choice now. No, it's good, because we gain these lessons, and I think that they're to be shared. We learn these things in our day-to-day life, and you could easily just hold them to yourself. But part of fulfillment is letting people know, because it's just giving. It's that contribution factor. So I've been in the high ticket sales industry for a few years now, and I love it. I absolutely love it. It's a lot of fun. It's exhilarating. I get charged. It's my adrenaline. when I'm on the phone doing that kind of stuff. So I was working in a place, and to try to be I got to be candid to a degree on some things, but I received an offer, and the offer was an incredible offer.
From a very prolific person, correct?
Very, very prolific person. The average person would flip their shit for the kind of offer that I received. It's just, it's a dream job, absolute dream job. And I thought about it for a long time, and I seriously mulled it over, and there's a lot of reasons why I would say yes to something like this. The money is great, right? When you get an offer with a lot of money can be one of those things that a lot of us, we sell ourselves for. You give up your dream. I one time heard a statement in a movie is, how much did they pay you to give up on your dream? How much did they pay you to give up your honor? And that's a big thing for me, because I know that I can always make more money. As an entrepreneur, or when you understand sales, when you understand, selling, essentially all you need is selling. You don't even have to be good at business. If you understand selling, money will come. You can make money selling anything when you understand sales. So money can flow back. We can get more money. But trying to gain back your honor is a really difficult thing to do. You're not going to be fulfilled if you're selling something that you don't believe in. You're not going to be fulfilled if if you put yourself in a position that is not where you're supposed to be. And so anyway, I was mulling this over, and I was not expecting the offer, and so it kind of threw me. It threw my whole kind of plan off. I had a plan. I knew where I was going, and then boom, this comes in. It's like, oh, that's really good. Like I could make a crap ton of money and live a really good, life, and use it for all this stuff that I need to do. And over the weekend, I just really sat on it, and I decided to turn it down. And I don't feel bad about it, because sometimes things are just not in line with your spirit. Sometimes they're not in line with the season that you're in. Sometimes you need to let old things go, and it doesn't matter who you're gonna be. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of perks to some opportunities that you're gonna have in your lifetime. There's a lot of perks. There's gonna be opportunities that are gonna blow your mind if you just expect them, right? Mm-hmm. I talk about this all the time. Is just expect that good things are going to happen for you. Just expect it. Just wake up every day and expect them. And so I guess that's kind of where I decided that, hey, I'm going to let this one go, and I'm going to continue on the journey that is fulfilling me. I'm going to continue down the path that I know is maybe a little bit harder. It's going to be a grind not going that direction. that direction would have been a lot easier. A lot easier. So that's that's part of this fulfillment thing, is you got to know yourself, know what you love, know what makes you happy, and even if it's going to be more work to get that, it's worth it.
Yeah, it really is, and man, I gotta say respect, because I happen to know the person who gave you that offer, and I know. I know the level at which that offer was given, and I think it is not only honorable, but I think it shows the strength of character that is required, really, truly, to be the entrepreneur that you're setting out to be. I was watching a Tony Robbins thing today, and an interview with him, and one of the things that he said is, I effing hate dabblers. cannot stand. He's like, this is the generation of dabblers. People that get in and they're like half in, half out, and that's some bullshit. Honestly, I mean, um, if I was think about this, if I was halfway committed to traveling around the world, how far would I get?
Yikes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be all into that. Like, you got to be all in or nothing. Like, it's one or the other. You can't halfway it. I mean, imagine if you're just dabbling in your marriage. I mean, your wife ain't gonna appreciate that, or your husband's not gonna appreciate that. You know,
Right.
if you're just dabbling halfway in your relationship. You have to be all in. You got to be all in, committed, and willing to deal with the ugly cries and the just you have to be willing to look at your wife and still see beauty when there's mascara all over her fucking face and just looks like hair looks like a bird's nest, and you have to be willing to look into her eyes and say, I'm with you all the way, and mean it. And you need to be able to look at your business the same way, because I know that nobody that's the whole reason why 97% fail. It has nothing to do with the tech or the money or all this outside horseshit. It has everything to do with you. It has everything to do with your internal.
People expect that it's going to be easier than it is. It's business is nothing to joke about. It is not easy. It's just not. You know, for some people have a natural ability and a natural talent towards certain things, and maybe based on your growing up and stuff, you learn certain things. Or some people have a natural ability to sell. You know, have a natural outgoing confidence, and for those, it's going to be easier. But for the majority of people, it is hard, and even the best have downturns. Even the best have they can go from having tons of money to nothing. It's all gone.
Yeah.
But that's where that commitment to you got to enjoy the journey. I mean, isn't that what fulfillment is all about? It's enjoying the little victories. It's enjoying the struggles. It's being okay with that. It's you know what? Today's gonna be a grind. Let's fucking take it. Let's enjoy it.
Yeah.
Let's enjoy maybe doing the grind at a different location today.
Which is something that you get with being an remote worker.
Right. I was like, okay, how am I going to enjoy the grind more? I know what I'm getting ready to go up against today. It's not necessarily going to be fun. I don't want to do this at all. How can I maybe enjoy it just a little bit more? And it was going to a coffee shop and doing it at a coffee shop. I worked at a grocery store for a little while. They had a Starbucks in the grocery store. And I was like, you know what? I just need to change the scenery. So I went from the coffee shop to the grocery store and wrote at the grocery store Starbucks.
Interesting.
Just to change it up a bit. And like, I felt fulfilled. I was like, all right, I got some shit done. This is good.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you know, that love that I was talking about, that passion, being able to make that grind just 1% better, like you said, Sarah, you know, like that is such a key to success, and being able to have the stamina to go long enough to hit the finish line, because this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And you know, I think I actually learned that from you, Sarah. But this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. This is something that, you know, you don't get married looking to be married for a year. You don't jump into a marriage like, all right, I'll give it 6 months. You know, like, you don't do that shit. Like, you get into it for life. Like, you know, that's why you say, till death do us part. This is the same shit when it comes to your business. Now, your business is, let me be clear, your business is not what you do. Your business is who you are, because your business is your life. It's your lifestyle. Okay, that's why we talk about. That's why this is called RevShare Lifestyle. That's why anything that I've ever discussed over the last 18 months has been about lifestyle. It's been about who you want to become, not what, but who. I took that from Arnold Schwarzenegger because he's the shit.
Yeah.
But but it's true. It's not what you want to become. It's who you want to be. And your business is you. You are the business. You're, like I mentioned a few times, you were born with a permanent logo. It's called your face, and and that's the logo of your business. And the way that the brand of the business, the brand is the values of the business. Okay, it's what people expect from that business. So the brand is the values that you personally hold. Okay, so Saron mentioned one of his values is honor. Okay, not all men have honor. We know that. We've all been alive long enough to be lied to and deceived and stolen from and all those different things that not all men live at the level of honor. But for those that do, it's a principle, it's a value, it's something that you could not make them be dishonorable people. And if they are dishonored, they will do whatever in the fucking power to regain their honor, because it's what drives them. It's an internal factor, and that's how these major brands, these major businesses become so big, because in all that they do, they remember the core of who they are. There's a company that I really respect. It's a bank of all places. It's called Simple. It's an online bank, and in all that they do, literally everything that they do is simple. It is, and that is the name of their company, and it's represented in every little thing in their brand. And personally, I started using it as a lifestyle account because there's no fees at all. You can't get overdraft fees. You can't get any. There's no fees on the account whatsoever.
Wow, that's really simple.
Yeah,
I just want to say that.
It is really simple. I find myself saying it all the time because I read through their copy. Their copy is ridiculously clear. And when I read through their copy, like when they go to explain what a bank fee is, because they do explain all of the fees because they're required by law to show a rates and fees chart. They're all zero, but they explain what the fees are. They say the one that charges you for having an account, the one that ... It just makes it so ridiculously clear and simple. And so they're communicating their values in everything that they do, and that is something that when you're speaking, when you're going on your brand, when you're talking about, I didn't mean to get so sidetracked on this stuff, but I think it's important. When you're communicating your brand, you're communicating your values, and your values are reflected by how you act. And your values are clearly communicated to yourself when you focus on your fulfillment. So when you begin to focus on your fulfillment, it's easy to look in the mirror and know who you are. It's easy to look in the mirror and know what you value. And when you have that, you can approach business with passion and vigor and the zeal that a teenager would approach a business. I mean, like when you look at when you look at teenagers, Twee is probably a better person to make this point, but when you look at teenagers, they're all about self-expression. Oh. Go ahead. Please do, because I know that you'll communicate it way better than I will. Teenagers, self-expression.
Oh, so on my side it's a little choppy, so I didn't know if Joel's done talking. But in regards to that, as you know, I spent some time out in the desert and reflecting. I personally love taking mini road trips, and it's something that I've done since I lived in Washington, because Washington has all these mountains and snowboard areas and different places, huge lakes, so really cool place. But I've started kind of this habit with Joel to do a mini road trip. And so I did that the other day on our anniversary, and I drove out to Arizona. And when I was out there and reflecting, it made sense, and something clicked about branding to me. And it was that Facebook and Instagram and your email list, all of these places that we're putting our business, these are places that we're using to express ourselves. That's what teenagers use it for. That's what the purpose of it really is to truly express ourselves. And if we're not doing that in our business is stale and stagnant. Because I know when I got into business, I had this idea in my head what a businesswoman should look like, with the shoulder pads and dress suit and that whole thing. And it was just, when I tried doing that and presenting myself like that, I got zero interest, zero customers, zero clients that were interested in doing what I was doing because it looked boring as hell. That's what everyone wants to get away from, correct? So instead, I started infusing my personality and showing myself a little bit more and expressing myself on these platforms. And the more I did that, the more my business succeeded. And I think it's just making that switch, realize that all these platforms are not just about business, but about expressing who you are and gathering the right people to you. Because I mentioned before, when you have the right people, they already understand you. You don't have to explain much of anything. They jive with you, they like you, and you can talk to them one-on-one. So back to the point that Saron was making as well, where he decided not to take that offer. I decide that in a lot of occasions to not take certain clients for the very same reason. For me, and Joel knows this, not all money is the same. I don't believe that. I don't believe that all money is the same. I actually categorize some money as blood money, just like how they have blood diamonds. Like, it's all pretty on the outside and it's all great, but the history of where it comes from is not that great. So I believe that about money as well. And if there's a client that I just don't jive with, I'm not interested in taking their money. So I know that Joel could elaborate more on that, but if you are, it's not just about the money, it's about really getting into what matters to you. And if you focus on that, you will just have so much more success and you won't feel drained. Because if you do take on a client that is draining to you, you could have been so much better off not taking that money and getting like 5 clients that jive with you. So it's just perspective, and it's so important never to sell out your own values just for the money.
Yes.
Wait, what? I gotta say this is anybody watching this needs to like catch that part and watch the replay on that like 5 times. Just record, watch it again, before watching again. They're nuggets out the wazoo, and that woman's short statement. Like, I'm glad that you said that. It's huge.
Well, I mean, it's totally true. You know, I mean, I didn't mean to cut you off. If you got more to say, just start saying it. Please.
Man, not all money is the same.
That's so true.
It's not. I mean,
not all money's the same.
No.
Nah.
Everybody's taking on that client that they wish they didn't. You know, I have, Twee has, Julian has, Sarah has.
You ain't learned nothing yet until you have.
No.
You gotta go through that fire before. It's everybody. You gotta do it. You'll do it, and you'll be like, this is what they were talking about.
Mm-hmm. It's the truth, and you know, back to what we were saying about that whole self-expression, you know, on social media. You know, it's really truly easy to spot a struggling marketer. I mean, I can spot them from, like, if I scroll through my news feed, you know, I could probably pick out 5, 10, 15 people immediately that I know are struggling, and I can tell by the content that they post. You know, it has nothing. I can do it without ever even having a conversation with that person, because the content that a struggling marketer posts, it is very spammy. It's always extraordinarily spammy. I cannot begin to describe. It looks like like they're using like clip art from like 1998. You know, it's like it is just the most distasteful, ugly looking. You can tell how disgusted I can feel it in the pit of my stomach. But it is this horrible, like. And all of the language is in there is like, do you want to make a lot of cash? Do you not want to work? Do you hate everything that involves work? Check this out. and there's a link to some page that's all designed in HTML. That you look at that and you're like, this guy is broke, very, very, very broke. And that I say that not to discriminate, but I say that to bring up a point. Is that marketers that are succeeding are the ones that are being clear and expressing who they are in all that they do. And so their content, they could both be promoting the exact same offer, but the content of the marketer who is succeeding is going to be something where it's expressing a value. It's expressing it's talking a lot less about the offer, and it's talking a lot more about the struggle or the success or the emotion that they feel, or why they believe that they can help you. It tends to focus so much more on the benefit and so much more on the expression of the brand, as opposed to just join this thing. And when we look at teenagers, these guys are like the ultimate marketing gods. Like, I look at teenagers and I'm like, oh my gosh, that is like the best marketing I've ever seen. Why do these like 13-year-olds have 2 million followers? And whether they're monetizing that or not is irrelevant. But you look at what they're doing. Why do they have these 2 million followers? And it's because they just come as they are. And if you don't like them, that's that. They don't care. They're there to be themselves. And it's because they're there to be themselves that they have 2 million followers. Because 2 million people showing up for them. Not for their products, not for their offers, not for their trainings, not for anything else. It's 2 million people showing up for them. And that is the power of self-expression. And I can guarantee you, when you talk to any one of these kids, that they're not worried about being billionaires. They're not worried about all these little things. They're just focused on being themselves and being fulfilled. They just do it because it makes them happy. And when you approach business and your social media and your branding and anything else from that perspective, you will find that the ocean just opens up for you. And it becomes easy. Like Saron said at the very beginning, it doesn't feel like work. Yep. So, I didn't mean to take
art.
Go ahead.
Good, man. I mean, here's the thing: this is the art of fulfillment. It's a very personal thing. It just is. It's a personal journey, and your job each day is to learn what you like, learn what you don't like, and focus on the things that you do like, and enjoy those things, and foster those things, and foster those skills, and dream. One thing that I did the other day that I haven't done in a long time is, well, I'll take this back. We had my girl and I. We were down here vacationing. I live in paradise, basically. It's just part of my dream was to move to this location, and it's basically paradise. And so she came down to do a little vacation, and she had this idea that I was like, oh my God, like I've been trying to figure out an idea like that for a long, long time. And I can't really go into it in short term, but the point is that I did something called a vision board, and I just started drawing out my vision for myself, for my future, what I like, what I enjoy, what fulfills me. And one of those things was writing a book. One of those things was speaking in front of people. And so then you just chip away at making those little things happen. And so that's what this is. This is the art of fulfillment. And so that's what you get to, that's the gift that you get to go do, is discover that. It's find that in yourself and understand that about yourself, and it's a journey. It's not something that happens overnight.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. But it's the journey though that if you can find even one thing, um, and I put down in the chat, I put, the 6 different things that we were talking about. It was originally 5, but, with what Julian introduced, balance, I put them in the chat. It was balance, certainty, love, significance, variety, and contribution. All of those things are at the core of what fulfills us.
I
And
also really like key lime in my water.
whatever fulfills you, brother.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Those things, they're including the key lime, they're at the core of our fulfillment. They are. We all have a desire to have certainty in our lives, but if we have too much certainty, then we get bored. We all have a desire to have variety in our lives, but if we have too much variety and there's no certainty, then it creates fear. We all have a desire to love and be loved, and without love, especially in our work, if there's no love in our work, it shows up stale. It shows up as nothing more than a transaction, and mere transactions are not enough to get you over the finish line that you're really truly after. Success is not a number. It is not it's not when I hit $1 million, then I'll chill. It's not that. That's not success. Because what will end up happening is you'll go make $1 million, then you'll have to do all this emotional work to figure out why the $1 million even matters. Success or fulfillment. I'm sorry. Is about significance. When Saron was talking about, he loves showing up. He loves showing up for other people, and not just showing up just to be there and be reliable, but showing up to charge up the situation and add himself, his flair, add his passion to that situation, and he really gets a kick out of seeing that person's light up, seeing that person's face light up, or their eyes when they finally get it. I remember, Sarah, I know you didn't mention this in the webinar, but you did say this in Florida about a year ago or something like that, when we were chilling at that mansion, where you're like, dude, because I asked you why you do this, because it was like, what was it, like 1 o'clock in the morning, we were writing that fucking sales letter for that thing, that product that I didn't even end up launching, and what you ended up saying to me, you goes, dude, you go, I'm not here because to just help you with this. I'm here because I just love seeing people when their eyes light up and they get that breakthrough. I thought that was powerful because it really sounded like it was from the heart.
Yep.
So it's that significance that matters to us. And it's not that we need other people to think that we're significant, but rather it just confirms our beliefs that we are. And the other thing is contribution, which is just like what you were just mentioning as well. And the more you should always be give more than you expect to receive. Because when you just give, you'll find that people just want to give right back. That was Saron's lesson. I mean, he's like, hey, I do it for a selfish reason because I just get endless gifts.
That's right. That's the truth.
So, I mean, if you can think about those 6 elements and ask yourself, what are the top 2 to you? I think that you'll find that you'll begin to create clarity, and the paths will just simply open up for you. And inaction leads to depression, but clarity is often found in momentum. So when we just start doing stuff, that clarity in the path just begins to reveal itself. So with that, guys, I think, does anybody have anything else that they'd like to contribute? Because, man, this has been a really powerful webinar, and in fact, probably one of the most fulfilling webinars that I've done in the last month.
I will. Yeah, go ahead, Sharon.
I was just gonna say this is definitely one where there's a lot of nuggets, and there may be some. This is one of those things that you need to watch the replay, go back over, listen through, take notes because things are going to spark, and you're going to start to see and get ideas for. I talked about the reason I brought up the key lime thing is because of how small, and it might sound insignificant, but it's the little things. Fulfillment just is all about the little things. And so this is one of those things this is one of those recordings you're going to have to go back and watch a couple of times and really just let it sink in.
Absolutely. Julian, brother, what you got?
Well, you know what? As I'm sitting there listening to you guys talking about all this different stuff too, one thing comes to mind is energy as well, in all your business. And I think everyone kind of mentioned energy one way along the line as we're talking differently, in our different scenarios and different situations. And it's just one of those things that it's something that is kind of, you could be talking to someone, and you could literally feel like the wind when taking out these sails, which means that's not good because they're really sucking your energy, almost like a vampire. We use that analogy. Whereas when you're talking to different people in your business, you kind of charge each other up. That's why we could get on this panel, we could talk up. I was tired early before I got on here and started speaking with you guys, but that builds your energy up. So those are the kind of people you want to be around. Again, and this goes outside of business as well. This goes with relationships and anything else in life. And that's a good barometer too. If you're around folks that always energize you, that lets you know you're on the right path. Because if you're around people that suck your energy, trust me, that's the alarm. Stay away. So I mean, that's just something to really pay attention to. Energy is in everything we do, and it's something if you pay attention to it, you'll know you're on the right path. You really know you're doing stuff with fulfillment, especially because I'm telling you, if it's not fulfilling you, like if Sarah took that opportunity and he got all this money, later on I'd be like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? He would feel it, but if he's doing something he truly likes and enjoys what he's doing, and he feels fulfilled about it, it's energizing, right? So keep that in mind. I just want to add that.
That was powerful. That was a big nugget right there.
I
Twee, go ahead and close us out, baby. That's a big one, man. That's a huge nugget. That's a breakthrough for a lot of people. I know that. Twee, go ahead and close us out, baby.
Yeah, so in regards to what Julian was saying, like definitely interaction, because we humans are built on interaction. That makes us energized. Just helping others, just interacting with new people or getting into a new space, whatever you can do. And also, I know like when I was new in marketing and I was feeling doubtful and I didn't have any idea what to do, doubt increases with inaction. So if you're not taking enough action, you're going to be more doubtful because you're just going to be sitting there wondering, oh, there's no results, why, and then you're going to go in a cycle. Versus, like Joel said, clarity is revealed through momentum. So if you start getting momentum, then your business will start moving, and then you'll go into areas where you will get an opportunity, or someone wants to work with you, or a client wants to hire you, or just something. And it's really important to figure out your cues. So understanding yourself and self-awareness is so important, because one of the things that I notice for me is if it feels bad, I'll feel it in my stomach, like my stomach, my heart feels like it's sinking, just like you get that bad energy. Other people hold it in different areas of their body, but I know for me, if I feel that, it's not where I want to be. So I decide against that decision, whatever it happens to be. If it feels good to me, I do this with Joel. I'm like, does it feel light? Like, do you feel really light and lifted with this or with the scenario, or do you feel heavy? Does it feel light or heavy? So that's a really easy way to figure it out. But definitely self-awareness, whatever you can do to gain that, you'll be able to carve your path a lot more clearly towards what it is that you truly want. So there's a saying that my mentor likes to say, if it's not fun, it doesn't get done. That doesn't mean you don't do the work, but you're choosing which work you want to do. She's also a very prolific marketer as well, but definitely just zoning in and figuring out what opportunities are right and what aren't in your life, and just carving your own path based on your own awareness of yourself, what it feels like to you. And I want to leave you guys with a book. If there are any big readers out there, a book that started helping me. It's from a female's perspective, but it's really good. It's called The Desire Map. So it's such a good book, and it breaks down everything from tuning into your own feelings and working based off of feelings rather than just, what looks good on the outside. And it's such a great book if you want to change your life and go towards your goals from a different perspective and charge at your goals with things that matter, with what it will fulfill you with.
Absolutely powerful. Awesome stuff. Yeah, guys, go ahead and check out that book, The Desire Map. I don't know the author of that. Who was the author, Tui?
Danielle Laporte.
Danielle Laporte. Yeah, guys, check it out.
I've heard it both ways, but that's her name.
Laporte.
And it's such a good book, and it's a quick read. It's a really easy read. It's more an activity book. But it'll really help you gain a sense of self-awareness, so you're not just going towards that $1 million without knowing why you actually want $1 million. So, absolutely. Or whatever other goals you have.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. With that, we're gonna wrap up. Tons and tons of breakthroughs tonight. You guys are gonna want to send this replay out to your audience. Share it with people because this was a powerful, powerful webinar. Lots of high energy and lots of tons of breakthroughs, all based on personal experience from everybody on this panel. So looking forward, guys, to next week. Tons of new updates. There is lots of great things brewing, especially for those that are already inside of DA. If you guys have not created an account inside of RSL, only a few viewers left since we're just closing up. But if you guys have not taken action on the new offer inside of RSL, it is powerful. It converts very well. All right, guys. Looking forward to next week. Looking forward to some more communication inside of the groups. And we will see you guys around. Peace.
Take it easy, everybody.